Islam, peace and greetings to you all. I rise giving all praise to Allah and the highest of honors to His holy and divine Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I extend those honors to the harbinger and forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I extend honors to all true and divine prophets, and I extend honors to you all, for when man honors man, he honors his father God Allah. Here we go again. In set for the defense of the Moorish American Moslem Gospel, I have taken it upon myself to respond to some highly inflammatory remarks that were said by the brother Malik Zulu Shabazz of the New Black Panther Party pertaining to the Moorish Science Temple of America. This is a pattern that I have noticed in the conscious community, where many of these so-called black groups feel that they have to step on the Moorish Science Temple of America to boost themselves up. You know, diminish our teachings. Let us review his highly inflammatory statements.
You wouldn't understand. What did I say earlier before I got off on that point? I said it don't never work. Every brother who I know and I love and I honor in the Moorish Science Temple, when they were trying to convince me that this was the way, and incorporating yourself and buyer, debtor, all of that language and all that talk, well, what the hell happened while they was in jail? I ain't seen one get out yet. I have begged the Moors all over the country to give me a case where your jurisdictional argument was put in a motion before a state court or a federal court or the Supreme Court, and show me how this argument, if it's so powerful and it's so potent and we so misguided, well, show me where y'all using it to get the hell out of jail. Because all I'm seeing is Islam behind bars.
That's real.
Black power.
This brother should know that the Moorish Science Temple of America does not support bogus UCC sovereignty schemes. In a Facebook conversation that me and this brother had sometime last year, I expressed these things to him, and he said, and I am paraphrasing, "Out of all of the Moors that I have ever spoken with, you are the only one that ever made sense." Then he deleted me without warning and would just recently send me a friend request so that he could promote his youth march on my page. These types of teachings are espoused by fringe Moorish groups, and they do not represent the MST at all, and these people who promote such are largely non-religious and do not adhere to the great Quran of Muhammad nor the Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to which we Moorish American Muslims draw our power and authority from. These sovereign citizen Moors follow the atheistic and Freemasonic views of a man named Charles Mosley Bey, nicknamed CM Bey, whose teachings went against the very teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple of America. So when the brother says, "All I see is Islam behind bars," he had to have known while he was saying or planning to say this that this was disingenuous. Another point to note is that this brother follows the teachings of the Nation of Islam. For decades, many in this organization taught that it was Farad who found our people here, and that it was Farad who brought them Islam, that it was Farad who gave our people a flag and raised them up as a nation. But upon closer review, we find that this is simply not the case. It was Prophet Noble Drew Ali who came first and raised our people up and brought the first true and divine creed of Islam back to our people. It was Prophet Noble Drew Ali who came and made our people a nation on this land and gave them the flag of their forefathers. It was Prophet Noble Drew Ali who, out of all of the leaders that had ever come to us, was the only one that brought the true historical accounts of our people, and it was he that revealed to us our true identity and taught that we were not Negroes, not black people, not colored folks or Ethiopians, which is the self-same as today's African Americans, but that we are Moors, which also serves as a synonym for Moabite, the lost but now found since 1913 on this land. For this reason, brothers like this want to keep Prophet Noble Drew Ali swept under the rug so that they can push an agenda based on a fictional people, so-called blacks, and a hate-filled ideology. I want you to take a listen to the people that he gives reverence to in the opening of this debate and during the debate.
Which is backed by Kwame Ture, by Malcolm, backed by Elijah,
awesome line,
backed by Nat Turner, backed by the Haitian Revolution, backed by Old Testament Huey P. Newton, backed by Dr. Khalid Muhammad, or you gonna go with this new strange teaching?
Oh my God!
Something new.
Notice, he does not mention Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Why? If it not for Prophet Noble Drew Ali, there would be no Islam on this land in the way that we have it now. There would not be a nation of Islam or a 5% nation of gods and earths, as each of these sprang from the latter. How do you conveniently forget to mention, every time, mind you, Prophet Noble Drew Ali when you speak about the great leaders who came to raise our people up, when essentially he was the first? I believe because there is money to be made in keeping people deaf, dumb, and blind to their own selves. What is their own selves, you ask? Heralded Moors, the Moabites, or the world's first people. Black is a slave label given to our people by the pale-skinned nations of Europe. As long as there is money to be made from keeping a people deaf, dumb, and blind, then it behooves them to keep public rallies going, which has never brought any benefit to our people. Booker T. Washington said it best. There is another class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the Negro race before the public. Having learned that they are able to make a living out of their troubles, they have grown into the settled habit of advertising their wrongs, partly because they want sympathy and partly because it pays. Some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievances because they do not want to lose their jobs. This quote is so fitting for this presentation. Most of these brothers who claim to be of black consciousness, the leaders that they represent, and the leaders themselves, the ideologies that they espouse, they keep this vicious cycle of mental slavery going by constantly highlighting the atrocities and placing the blame for the condition of our people on someone else. Instead of pulling in resources to help the neighborhoods affected by decades of decadence, they come and give feel-good speeches in front of large crowds. This type of action has never worked for our people, and it will never work for them, or else it would have worked decades ago. Obviously, they were trying these very same tactics in Booker T. Washington's time. There has always been this thing against Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple of America within Afrocentric circles in academia. He is never mentioned in their works as a reference for what he brought to us in the form of historicity. He is mainly, in academia, only spoken of as a false prophet. Afrocentric types echo these claims or cannot mention him in their published works for whatever reason. He and the temple is excluded from their caste. Here is a flyer that was recently put out before Malik Zulu Shabazz's youth march. You will notice not one Moorish American Muslim was invited to this event. Why? It is for all the very reasons that I have mentioned above. We do not promote the European slave label of black, which is the self-same as the slave label Negro, and legally the same as colored. And for this reason, those who promote mental slavery exclude us from their caste while claiming that they want to unify with all of our people and all organizations that represent our people. Prophet Noble Drew Ali warned us, if you are not careful, your own brother will put you right back into slavery. He said that the only form of slavery that we have now is mental slavery, and that he came to remove that from us. Mental slavery is just as bad as physical slavery, for the body can be bound, but the mind can escape bondage in many ways. Let us show and prove by this brother's own words. In the next clip, he states that African American is our true legal capacity and that there is no precedence of us having any other capacity other than African American in this nation.
Well, what is our legal status? I'll get to that. God damn it, your legal status is whether you like it or not, you're an African American. That's your legal status that gives you a right to sue in court or take your case to an international jurisdiction. All the rest of that stuff y'all making up, you ain't got no precedent for it.
This is so utterly misleading and false that it almost appears as if he was told to say these things to you all. Firstly, we will look into just one court holding, in case this brother takes the challenge that I am going to issue at the end of this video, and the historical precedents, and prove that this brother is simply ignorant of these cases or is deliberately trying to mislead my people. In the case of United States versus Frederick R. James, a circuit court recognized the Moors' right to don their religious headdress, to wit, their fezzes, in the courtroom. The Moorish American sued the lower court where a case was being heard involving a Moorish American, when the judge had asked several Moorish Americans to leave the courtroom who would not remove their fezzes and turbans. The appellate court left precedent when it obviated the lower court's ruling. The court ruled that obeisance differs from respect. To demand the former in the name of the latter is self-defeating. It is difficult for us to see any reason why a Jew may not wear his yarmulke in court, a Sikh his turban, a Muslim woman her chador, or a Moor his fez. This case is but one of many where Moors actually sued in their Moorish American capacity, and it is empirical evidence that the Moorish Americans, which we all are, who are descendants of Morocco, the last empire founded by the ruling class from among our ancestry, where the fez headdress originated, are indeed recognized as Moors on this land and in the records of antecedents. Let us review other records on this land and see if we can find the Moors listed in the records here. Here are the 1744 laws of Virginia. You will notice that it mentions the Moors where it says at Article 9 that no Negro, mulatto, or Indian, although a Christian or any Jew, Moor, Mohammedan, or other infidel shall at any time purchase any Christian servant. It goes on to say, and if any person having such Christian servant shall marry with a Negro, mulatto, Indian, Jew, Moor, Mohammedan, or other infidel, such servant shall thereupon become freed from all service then due to such master or mistress. Before the Europeans formed themselves a nation here, Moors were already living on this land. The records prove this. The journals of Columbus, his son, and Cortez the Spaniard spoke about our presence here in the West. When the Moors were driven out, thousands took refuge in the south of France, who, abhorring the Roman Catholic persecutions, became Huguenots, and that of these many immigrated at a later date to South Carolina. Some sources that I have read stated that it was hundreds of thousands of Moors that came over here and set up shop in South Carolina, as Islam was already being practiced over here since at least 700 AD, when it was brought by the Moors to all of the Americas in that time. In 1654, English explorers reported a colony of bearded men in North Carolina who called themselves Moors and dropped to their knees while praying to Allah, and they were proficient in silver smelting. The Moors in the south were also called Turks, as this became another Islamic designation for the adherents of Islam over here. In 1670, Turks and Moors were excluded from slavery by the Virginia National Assembly. You can read more about the free Moors and Turks of South Carolina at this website. You will find archival records of Moors mentioned in states like Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. You also had the Moors Sundry Act of 1790, passed by the South Carolina legislatures, granting special status to the subjects of the Sultan of Morocco, Muhammad bin Abdullah. Why? Because the Islamic nation can only be headed by a prophet or a sultan under Islamic rule, and this is why these Moors were given quote-unquote free white status as recognition of Morocco being the international head of the Islamic nation. Moors were not subject to laws governing blacks and slaves. So why were Moors, that is, those who knew that they were Moors and followed the religion of Islam, or knew that they were Moors in general, given this special treatment? Please visit our website, www.moorishsciencetemple.org, and find the link that says, "You are not a black people." In that link, we unequivocally show that those of our people that were brought over here, that is over 100 years after the Moors settled in South Carolina, when their servitude was up, they purchased their own land and their own slaves. And when word got out about the opportunity over here, our people from parts of Europe like Spain and Portugal, all the way to the West Indies, would come to America in droves and did what the Europeans did on this land. And that is why the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that we fell, because we strayed after the ideals of Europe, of whom we knew nothing. Noble Drew Ali, the Prophet, said that we were stripped of our fezzes and our turbans on this land in 1774 and 1779. And those of us who knew that we were Moors were subjected to Negro, black, and colored status, as this is the label of slaves. Please go to the website and view this information and cross-reference it for yourself. By this brother Malik telling us that we are nothing more than African Americans, he is essentially saying that we are nothing more than Negroes, as the classification African American is coupled in with black, colored, and Negro. These are merely creatures of legislation, given privileges under the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Let us read what Prophet Noble Drew Ali said in this regard. The 14th and 15th Amendments brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners, who were at that time without power, within the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was enforced since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since this constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. I, the Prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good but have always harmed them. It seems that Prophet Noble Drew Ali knew more about constitutional law than our attorney friend. The very purpose of the 14th Amendment was to bring the Southerners back into solidarity with the Union and give corporations the same rights as people, and it was never properly ratified. These are researchable facts. So why did Prophet Noble Drew Ali say that the 14th and 15th Amendment was not necessary for the salvation of our people? We have to go back and look at the very definitions that were used when these laws were passed, laws that still stand today. According to Bovier's Law Dictionary, published in 1892, it reads, Negroes born within the United States are entitled to vote under the 14th Amendment and are protected therein by the Act of May 31st, 1870. And this is what the brother Malik Zulu Shabazz is essentially saying that you are. Mere African Americans, which is the same classification as Negro. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said to us, by you being born here, don't make you a citizen. The 14th Amendment made those of African descent denizens, not citizens. Black's Law 5th edition cites for denizen in American law, a dweller, a stranger admitted to certain rights in a foreign country, or as one who lives habitually in the country but is not a native-born citizen, one holding a middle estate between an alien and a natural-born subject, one who has some relation to the enemy nation which is not lost by the alien's presence within the United States. Have you not been treated like an enemy since you were stripped of your nationality and religion? Because you did not know who you were unaware of the biblical law that the Europeans were using to wage war upon you, where it states in Jeremiah 48:3 that there shall be no more praise of Moab. In Heshbon they have devised evil against it. Come, and let us cut it off from being a nation. Also thou shalt be cut down, O madman. The sword shall pursue thee. They have cut our people off from being a nation and branded us with the slave labels of Negro, black, colored people, and African American. And you have people claiming to be educated leaders running around enforcing this act of European psychology on my people, keeping them mentally enslaved in perpetuity, all the while bringing zero remedy to our people. So in this, I issue a challenge. You see, it is easy to debunk that sovereignty stuff. We debunked that stuff 2 to 3 years ago and wonder how anybody can fall for it in this day and time. But when it is time to stand in front of a true warrior scholar, one who can back up what he teaches with 100% accuracy, the whole conscious community tucks tail and run. So the challenge is this: Moorish American nationality versus black power. Which has the power to redeem us? We have a paper trail of evidence proving that the program that Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought to our people works for our people, while we have zero proof that black power of any kind has ever brought any remedy to our people. The Moorish Science Temple of America, for instance, specifically draws its power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad, as can be found in our formation documents. According to the documents of the United Nations Conference on International Organization, San Francisco, 1945, Volume 14, the United Nations Committee of Jurists, pages 375 to 379, we read, "The Muslim legal system is a system of unquestionable originality. Its autonomy is evident as a legal system largely governed by the distinctive character of a social community, very different from that in which other legal systems have reached normative maturity. The International Congress on Comparative Law, which was held at The Hague in 1932, decided that Muslim law is an entirely independent source of comparative law. In 1938, when the question of the relationship between Roman law and Muslim law was brought to the consideration of the Second Congress on Comparative Law, the Congress stated explicitly that Muslim law was an autonomous legal system which did not depend on other established systems. The answers to our problem is right in front of our faces. Where in the world, domestically or internationally, can we find any precedent set like this based on the flawed doctrine of black power ideology? You cannot promote Islam and the black power ideology at the same time. It is water and oil. It does not mix. As a matter of fact, search the whole conscious community and find where we have any international standard set forth as a foundation to what they espouse, and you will find none, thus proving all of our people belong in the Moorish Science Temple of America, the only place for the salvation for my people. If I am wrong, step up and prove me wrong. Prove Prophet Noble Drew Ali wrong. So I challenge Malik Zulu Shabazz to a debate. I offer the same condition that I offer all whom I challenge, to which none have ever stepped up for. If you lose the debate, brother, you must come do work for our temple for 6 months, promoting the program of Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple of America. And if I lose, I have to go to Harlem and wear the Black Panther Party regalia with the beret, standing next to Salnetta on 125th Street, screaming black power all day, every day, while espousing the very stuff that you and your group espouses for at least 6 months. You can bring all of your black power generals and scholars and professors and bloggers, etc., etc., to back you up as well. Let's see if you will take a real challenge. And with that, I say peace.